What's up, little enzymes? Welcome back to Dacia's Digest. The topic of today's video is going to be about prenups. So before we get started, everything that you see or hear will be included in the description, and we have an announcement. Today, I am launching the channel membership. Again, don't get scared. Don't get scared. Nothing, absolutely nothing is going to change for just the regular viewership. You will still get your daily video at 10 a.m. Eastern most days. Some days it's late, but you'll still get your daily video. And if you choose to become a channel member, you will get, and there's only one tier, I just made it easy, just put it all in one option. You will get loyalty badges next to your name in the comments, custom emojis that you can use in the comments, priority reply to comments, members only live stream, so this is something that we don't do yet, early access to new videos, and 2 to 3 extra videos a month at least. Also, whenever we do come out with merch, I still have to work on designs. You will get discounts on merch. So all of that for $9.99 a month. Again, you can totally just watch the membership free content. It won't change anything, but if you would like to join the membership and get like a few extra perks, you can. All right, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into it. So the first story was cross-posted on the Dacia's Digest subreddit. Am I the a-hole for not giving my wife half of everything in our divorce because of the prenup? I, male 29, am going through a divorce right now. My wife and I have been married for 4 years, and I'll admit, right off the bat, I messed up. I cheated. It was stupid, a one-time thing, and I regret it every day, but that doesn't change the fact that I broke her trust. She found out, and we both knew the marriage was over. Before we got married, I had a prenup drawn up. I come from a pretty well-off family and had a lot of assets going into the marriage, property, investments, and a business I inherited from my grandfather. The prenup was designed to protect those things. She agreed to it without any issues at the time. Now, during the divorce, she's demanding half of everything. She says that because I cheated, the prenup should be voided and she deserves more than what was originally outlined. I get that she's angry, but legally, the prenup is airtight, and she's most likely going to walk away with nothing. My lawyer says her case is weak, and she's just wasting time and money dragging this out. I initially offered her a significant sum of money, more than the prenup required, to be civil, but she rejected it. Now, I've decided I'm not giving her anything beyond what the prenup specifies, if that. She's not entitled to half, and honestly, at this point, I don't want to give her anything. I feel like this is about revenge, not fairness, and I'm not caving. Am I the a-hole for sticking to the prenup and refusing to give her anything after I cheated? I say no, not the a-hole. I am a proponent of prenups. I hope that's the right word. I think everyone should get prenups because prenups protect both sides. So what she should have done is write something in the prenup that covers situations like cheating, etc. Then she would be getting whatever she should be getting. But now, because she didn't put that in the prenup and then just willy-nilly signed it, she's leaving with absolutely nothing, even though I'm sure she's probably heartbroken. You know, I don't know what the dynamics of their relationship were, but if you are going to sign a prenup, you need to make sure that you're not just signing your life away and that it's being fair to both sides. She didn't put a cheating clause in the prenup, so tough luck. First comment says, most prenups have that clause in them. She shouldn't have signed it. It would never be half of everything anyway, just half of what you acquired since marriage. That too. Someone responded, too few people realize this. I had a girlfriend who married young and divorced after a few years. She gave the ex half of the savings, furniture, and other possessions that she had brought to the marriage because we are in a community property state and she didn't know any better. Someone else responded, my mom and dad split up after 42 years of marriage. She didn't work and he was a civil engineer. My disabled, wheelchair-bound dad said my mom could have everything despite my concerns. He even split his federal government retirement annuity with her each month, sent her a check for $2,000 on top of all of the assets. She even complained to me about him not giving her extra to pay for stuff she wanted to do to the home. My mom wrote up the divorce decree herself and a judge signed off on it. My dad passed away 2 years later. She no longer got the annuity or his $100K life insurance because of the incorrect way she wrote up the paperwork. She sold the house and bought a smaller but equally expensive house just for her. She has no money now. She had to get a job working part-time at Target to keep herself afloat. She is miserable and constantly worried about money. She asked me to pay her Medicare premium for her. At the time, I was making $50K a year as a teacher, had one vehicle that was 11 years old, and rented my home. I declined and really see this whole situation as a result of her not getting a lawyer because she didn't want to pay for it and didn't want to be shamed for divorcing her double amputee 80-year-old husband and taking all of the assets. Get that paperwork. He seemed like he didn't even mind giving her whatever she needed either, but because she didn't write up the paperwork correctly, she lost out. Make sure you get that paperwork together. Let me go to the next story. Would I be the a-hole for asking my girlfriend to sign a prenup? Hey, so I, 26 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 25 female, for a little over a year, and this is something my mom and some friends have mentioned to me. I have a great job and make about $95K a year and have a comfortable savings of a few thousand. I own my own house and 2 cars, a 2012 Acura MDX and 2015 Cadillac ATS. I also make $1,200 a month in rent. She currently works part-time at a bar. She has mentioned before about me adding her to the title of my house. What the hell? To which I told her I would not, as she does not contribute anything to it. Right. That don't even make no sense. I purchased my second car 2 months ago as the first one was paid off. I told her she could drive my old car, but she wanted me to sell it and use the money to help her buy a car for her. I also declined this request, but instead offered to help her buy a cheaper car off buy and sell, as I'm not sure how my new car would fare in the winter. She's gotten really upset about those 2 instances. Oh, she sounds like a gold digger. She sounds like she digging for gold. It's not making sense to me. Why would you want your boyfriend, not husband, boyfriend, to put your name on the title of a house that you literally had no contribution to whatsoever at all? That don't make no sense. Why would he do that? And then you want him to buy you a car? For what? At your big age. And you're just, not to minimize your role in his life, but you're just the girlfriend. I might understand like it being different if you were the wife and there was some different things going on in the relationship, but no. Red flags. He said she also asks for designer handbags, often $3,000, to which I say no, as I feel it's like a waste of money. It's not that I have a problem spending money on her, as smaller gifts that are more reasonable I have no issue with. I don't plan on marrying her anytime soon, but would I be the a-hole for asking her to sign one if we ever got married? Yeah, not the a-hole. I think you definitely need to sign and make sure that you protect what you already. It seems like you're on a good track. You're only 26, you're making 95, you got 2 cars, 1 paid off, you have a rental property. Like, you are doing well. So keep it up. The first comment, all that after a year, she's a gold digger. You're young, dump her, not the a-hole. Right, I was getting gold digger vibes. Someone replied, this is the right answer. Also, OP, coming from someone who makes about $100K a year and about your age, don't tell someone what you make early in the relationship. I've been with my fiance about 4 years, engaged for 1. It wasn't until she moved in with me last year that I told her how much money I make. Although I live a lot more frugally than you do. I own my own home, but drive a much older car as I don't feel like having a nice car is super important. But it's easier to hide still. I wish you the best luck. If you really do decide to pursue this relationship, a prenup is a must. If she doesn't want to sign it, she's not the one. She'll say you're just planning for a failure. So is she by not signing it. OP responded, I do live incredibly frugal aside from my cars. I actually bought the second one because she needed a way to get to and from work. She didn't like my offer of assistance in buying a cheap car from buy and sell. That's when I found out she had practically no savings. Oh no, don't marry this. Don't marry this. She doesn't have the same ideas about money that you do. Practically no savings. Doesn't have enough money to buy her own car to get to and from work, works a part-time job, doesn't really seem to be like trying to have a career or anything. And not saying that there's anything wrong with that. If that's what she wants to do with her life, then okay. It just seems like their life paths are different. Someone replied, not to mention $95K isn't even that much. Like it's a good living, but barely middle or upper middle class. Yeah, I mean, I understand that $95K is way higher than like the average, US salary. But depending on where you live, it's gonna be like good. It's gonna be good enough. It's gonna have you right. In other places, it's not gonna be enough. In some places, you are gonna be upper middle class. So it really depends on where you live. I still think $95K, especially for a 26-year-old, is great. And plus, he has that $1,200 rental property. I think he's still doing well for himself. But somebody replied, I was going to say this. It sounds like great money, but as a homeowner, he's not rich. He needs to start putting some money away. Houses can be money pits and dump the girlfriend. She needs to figure out what to do with her life. Don't let it be your wife. I do agree with that. With the fact that he is a homeowner, it sounds like he has a rental property. He's going to need to make sure that he has like a good amount of savings stacked up. I will say though, $95K isn't a luxury salary. Like buying $3,000 handbags, you can't do that on $95K unless your rent is like $800 a month or something like extremely low. But when you account for like taxes and all that stuff getting taken out, it dwindles down. You really see about like 60% of that. Again, not saying that it's not a lot because I know the average is like way lower, but just, yeah, it's not as much as it sounds. And so her essentially wanting him to like almost fund her life, it sounds like he not gonna be able to do that on $95K. Someone said, since when is $95K not a good salary for a single 26-year-old? People seriously need to get off TikTok and Instagram and get back to the reality of what people are actually earning working a job. I agree. As I said, it is a great salary. I still think he's doing well. Just it depends on where he lives and a whole bunch of other factors. But anyways, so there is an update. Would I be the a-hole for asking my girlfriend to sign a prenup? I couldn't edit my previous post, so I've deleted it and revised it here. Sorry if you read this already. So I was planning on doing this conversation with my girlfriend on Saturday when neither of us need to worry about work. This is going to be a bit longer than my original as well. Also, to the people who were saying that I'm not as rich as I think I am, I know dang well I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination. The things I listed were to give an example as to how far out some of her requests have been. I got home at around midnight and she got home around 3:30 a.m. after her shift at the bar. She wasn't in the best of moods and started to say how things aren't like they were before. I agreed with her and then asked her how long she was planning on staying at the bar and if she was going to look for a more full-time or reliable job. Right. And so it sounds like they live together and maybe he's paying all the bills. So he says, she told me she wants to be a realtor in a year or two. And I asked her when she decided that. She told me about a week ago. I wasn't trying to pressure her, but I asked her what steps she needed to take in order to make it happen. She didn't give me a full answer and just mentioned that she was talking to a lady who worked as a realtor who was at the bar a few weeks ago. I told her I was happy she had a goal that she was aiming for. She then said she wanted to buy an apartment herself next year as she wants to live by herself for a bit. I asked her how she was going to manage getting it, and she asked if I could help her. I know you lying. I asked her, just as an estimate, if I was to help, what percentage I would be contributing, and she said about 80. Ain't no way. He said this is where things started to take a turn. I said I don't think that would be fair, as if she decided to sell it, the money would go 50-50. She didn't have anything to say to that, so I asked her, if you went out on your own and purchased that apartment, used all the money you worked for, and then I came in, married you, and left, how comfortable would you be selling it? She said she wouldn't be comfortable with it. I tried to explain that's how I felt with some of the things she's mentioned to me. She told me that the guy is supposed to provide, and while I don't disagree with the statement, I thought back to a lot of comments on my last post of some ladies who were saying they make more than their husband and they were for the idea of the prenup, not because he couldn't provide, but as asset protection. I also told her that some of her previous comments, such as being on the deed to my house and me selling my car to buy her one, made me uneasy. She told me I was lying about the car because she corrected me and said she asked me to trade it in for a new car for her. This is where I asked her, what do you think of a prenup agreement for if we get married? She started crying, saying I didn't trust her and that I was already planning on leaving her if that's what I had in mind. I told her that's not the case. We can both have one. I used a lot of examples people mentioned to me recently, such as her winning the lottery, getting a great job, or receiving an inheritance. It is protection for both of us. She didn't say anything to what I said, instead just looked away and said, I'm all by myself again. Girl, come on. She was still crying. She asked if I would have asked someone who made more money than her to sign one as well. I told her I don't think I'd get married without one at this point. I brought up how the number one reason for divorce is rooted in finances, and we don't see eye to eye on anything in that field. She asked what I meant. I asked her how much she's seen me spend on myself in the last year, and after a minute of thinking, she said almost nothing. I asked her if she has a closet and drawers filled to the point they don't close or open right of clothing, why she kept wanting new ones. She told me it's for her mental health, then asked me if I even cared about her mental health. Oh, so she's trying to be manipulative now. I told her I did immensely, as I hate seeing her sad, but also told her that spending money to try and make yourself happy is a temporary fix and it will be a repeating cycle. This was close to 6:30 a.m. and she told me that I should get some rest before work as I leave at 1 to drive to work. So the conversation ended there and we both tried to sleep. I left out one topic from our conversation that was prevalent in my previous post about intimacy. We did discuss it though. We talked more after I woke up around 9. Saturday, I'll bring up grabbing my stuff from her place and we'll be going our separate ways. Oh, okay, so I guess they don't live together? Thanks to everyone's opinion who commented on my previous post. I know I might not have handled the situation perfectly, but this conversation with her was probably the hardest talk I've ever had to have. I hope this is easier to read opposed to the wall of text I had earlier. Sorry to the people who commented on the last one. TLDR, we're splitting up. I think that's for the best. I think that regardless of if, I don't know, it just, whatever, I think that two people just need to be on the same page with what they want in their relationship. I'm not saying that either one way is correct, because for me, it just depends on the two people. If you believe that a man is supposed to provide, then what does providing mean for you? Does it mean just giving you whatever you want or giving you what you need and then you can work for the things that you want? Does it mean providing even if you're not the wife? Even if you don't have any children, even if y'all are living separately and you're just a girlfriend? Or does it mean after you get married and you're a stay-at-home wife and etc.? Does it mean go 50-50? Does it mean whoever makes more go by percentages? It's whatever works for the people involved, but you have to be on the same page and communicate. And these two were clearly not on the same page at all. Let me see if he has anything else. No, nothing else. So we'll go to the next one. This one also has an update. I'm leaving my boyfriend because of a prenup. I'm 34 female, breaking up with my boyfriend, 34 male, because of a prenup. I've been with my boyfriend for about 2 years. Everything is going well, and we love each other. We've been discussing marriage, and he mentioned he would not marry me without a prenup. We discussed this in detail, and I did not like what he proposed. His family owns a lot of property, land, and has a lot of savings. After marriage, he wants me to move into one of the houses his parents own. I told him I am uncomfortable building a life and a family in a house I have no ownership in, and he didn't understand. I told him I'd prefer to rent a place together, or we can live temporarily in one of his parents' houses and look at property together, but he refused. He said he liked the houses his parents and he already owned. He said he would not buy other property, and he said he would not sell any of his property to buy one with me. He told me if I wanted to own property, I could save up money by living in one of these properties and invest in one myself. Problem is, he would be entitled to half if we divorce, since my purchase would happen after marriage. That's a good point. Okay, I get her concerns. He told me I could pay his parents' rent if I feel like I don't belong on the property. He told me I could buy half of the house we live in from his parents. Problem is, I don't like the houses that him or his parents own. They also have a lot of stuff, and I feel like there's no space for me. I want to look at houses. I want to pick the place I live in, and I want to do it with my partner. I've made this clear to him over and over, but he won't budge. He earns more than me, and he has more assets than me for sure. He made it clear he was afraid I was a gold digger, and he wants to protect himself and his family's assets from me, which I can understand. This whole thing has made me feel very weird. This topic has come up before, and it has always made me feel very small. It makes me feel like all he cares about are his assets. It makes me feel like he wants me as long as I fit in to the life he already built and doesn't care to build one with me. It makes me feel like a gold digger. He has enough money to retire right now and live comfortably. I don't. He basically told me that whatever money he earns now, he can spend, so he won't be investing in too much anymore. He expects our earnings and our savings after marriage to be split, which I feel off about. I'm sure this is normal for some people. I'm sure other people would be happy to be with someone who is well off. I am not. I want someone beside me building a life with me, not someone who has built a life with his parents and wants me as long as I behave and fit into his life, which is how he's making me feel. So I'm leaving him. I welcome opinions on this, but yeah, it's been too long that this has made me feel off about our relationship. I'm protecting my peace and leaving him with all his houses and money. I agree with her. I agree with her in this instance. It sounds like he's being a bit paranoid. She's not saying, like, she's not like the girl in the previous story that she just wants him to put her name on the house that she didn't even put anything into. That's not what she's saying. She's saying that she wants to build something with them two together, not just kind of be thrown onto something that he already has built with his parents, and he's just, for whatever reason, being so unwilling to just budge. I feel like he's being so paranoid and focusing, like laser focused in on like, oh, I don't want her to get over on me. Like he's almost like The only word I can keep thinking of is paranoid. Instead of focusing on the actual relationship and who she is and like her integrity as a person, it's like that's not getting through to him. He's just worried about losing all that he has. I would break up too, because there's no way y'all can have a future with someone who just is always thinking like that. Let me click on the post so I can see some more of the comments. First comment, this is a great move. You're doing the right thing. I'm usually team prenup, but you'd be getting screwed here, especially if you kept building wealth and your assets post-marriage and he just kicks back on what he already has. If you did split, he'd make out better than you despite starting with one leg up. On top of that, he's not listening to what you want, your own place and a space and a life you build together. He just wants you to follow his plan. Yucky. Exactly. OP responded, that's what I was trying to get him to see too. But he takes it as, oh, so you're coming after the wealth my parents worked so hard to build? And I'm left speechless. And that's the thing, he didn't even work to build it. His parents did. So, Someone responded, tell him, if you think that's something I do, then why would you marry me? And she responded, I've asked him, and he says he doesn't think I'll do it, but just in case. Another person said, so he does not fully trust you. Why would you want a half lover who loves most of you, but thinks there's some sketch parts of you that may harm him or steal from his family? For your own peace of mind, dump the chump. Also, I'm sorry this situation sucks and I'd be so heartbroken in your place. I do wish you peace and love. Please get all the support you need. You sound like a wonderful person who deserves better. Someone else said, my favorite part is that it's not even his wealth. He's the one going after everything his parents have built. Opie said, yes, he got most of it from mom and dad. Ciao. Someone said, that's such an odd take because you're declining free housing. You want to spend money on a shared asset. I get that he wants to live forever on his parents' money, but it's blowing my mind that he can't see that he's not protecting himself. He's screwing you. He's eliminating your ability to build any kind of equity, which you'd be doing on your own with your own money. So where's the gold digging? And would very possibly be entitled to a large chunk of it once you're able to acquire it. Opie said, I think it's two birds, one stone. He's protecting himself and screwing me at the same time. To me, the free rent doesn't justify the trade-off for my feelings of independence and autonomy. Yeah, I'm not getting gold digger vibes from her like I was from the last girl, so I would be feeling some type of way too in this situation. Because again, it's not like she's just wanting him to throw her name on everything and like take all his money or whatever. Like she's trying to build something too, and she wants to do it with the person who she thinks is going to be her husband. Isn't that the point? Why get married? So about 2 months later, the first post was June 9th and the next one is August 10th. She said, so many things have happened. This is a bit of a rant and I know I'm missing parts, but I'll try to cover the important bits. Before I start, here's some important context. I have a stable and rewarding career, and though I don't earn as much as him, I am very happy with what I can afford. My parents have always taught me that women should be independent, and I've taken that to heart. I live below my means, which has allowed me to put aside money for savings and investments. A lot of comments have mentioned that I should take the free rent and that it would somehow set me forward in life, but for me, giving up my sense of autonomy and control over my home, my safe space, is not worth the potential savings. I lived with my parents and saved aggressively until I was 30, so I am lucky enough to be in a position where I can comfortably afford rent or a mortgage by myself. Plus, he expected the living situation to be permanent. I would not move into a house owned by someone else just to save on rent. Would it be nice to save $2,000 a month? Sure, but most people pay rent, and I am not an exception. If I really wanted that, I could move back in with my parents. But again, autonomy is very important to me. Also, if he's this stubborn now, I don't see how this situation could be improved later after I already moved in. I could also counter the prenup and make it so all my accumulated assets stay mine, or put in a clause that I'll be compensated for any children we have, or put that I'd get alimony or at least have a roof over my head in case we divorce. But for me, that feels overly transactional. It also gives me the vibes that I'm going to be living with a roommate who I sleep with and might have babies with, not a partner. I prefer to feel like we're in it together. He can keep what was his, but I want to build up what is ours. Also, if everything is completely split, it'll open up a new can of worms. How will our expenses be split if I'm working and he's just chilling? What happens when we have children? He has money saved for them, but will I get a say in how we spend that money? I know these things can be worked out, but this is not the type of marriage I want. I can't predict everything that will happen, and I don't think I can capture it in a contract. And it's already been so heartbreaking for me. I don't want to go through more. Anyways, yada yada yada, I'll just say that it felt like I was being stripped of my autonomy, stonewalled, and treated like a hostile. Okay, on to updates. So I told him I needed to end this relationship. I appreciated and truly enjoyed my time with him, but our financial values and the preferred married lifestyle just don't match. It was a quick and easy conversation, to be honest. I expected the breakup to be a bit of a process, not a one and done thing, since our lives overlap a lot. I'm also in contact with a lot of his family, so of course, during this whole time, a lot of them got involved, but blah blah, not super relevant to updates. Talk with his parents. Okay, I love his parents. I had a great relationship with them. I would go over to their house. We would have food, chat, watch TV. Sometimes I would go to the parties they host without my ex if he was busy. A few days after my talk with my ex, I went over to say goodbye. I didn't know if the prenup was family enforced or not, so I kept it very general and mainly focused on how the situation made me feel and what I was looking for in a relationship. His parents were shocked Pikachu face when I told them why I was leaving. I'm going to bullet point the rest. 1, his parents really want grandbabies. However, ex's younger brother and sister-in-law do not want kids. They were so happy when I came into their lives and she found out I wanted kids. 2, his parents had created their wealth together, with his dad being the major breadwinner for most of the relationship. 3, his mom was shocked at what he was offering me, saying these aren't the values he was raised with. She had been effectively retired since almost 15 years ago, and she said ex's dad never made her feel uncomfortable because of the difference in earning potential. 4, they told me that they built their assets for themselves and their children. They said that includes whoever their children decide to share their lives with. 5, they have many properties. However, they also have enough investments that they can live off of those. They told me their plan was to sign over a house of our choosing as a wedding gift, or sell a house and give us cash so we could buy a house we both wanted. As they got older, they planned to evenly divide their properties between my ex and his brother, since they wouldn't want to manage the properties anymore and live off investments. Ex's mom said she would have made sure my name was on my ex's portion, especially since we were wanting kids. 6, they mentioned investments will go directly into funds for grandkids after their passing. Maybe this is what my ex was referring to when he said his children would be set. A bit morbid though. 7, ex's mom told me that the mother of her grandbabies would be taken care of, and she wanted us to be on equal footing while raising a family. The parents seem a lot more reasonable than the ex. They're like, I don't know what he talking about. You were gonna be good regardless. He's over there being stingy with money and properties that's not even his. How ironic. So OP continues, to be honest, this conversation was kind of like a weight off my chest. I always loved his family and never felt excluded, but the prenup talks left me confused and hurt. What they said fit with what I knew from my ex and them before. I'd be lying if I said I didn't start imagining this life. I talked to my ex again. I'll bullet point this too. Basically, he told me 1, his dad joked before about how he hoped him and his brother would not find gold diggers, and that's where that comment came from. 2, he felt responsibility to protect his parents' assets since he didn't feel entitled to them, so by extension, I wasn't entitled either. 3, in his culture, sons carry on the family line, so he felt he had to keep his assets in the family line, which I'm not a part of, but any sons he had would be. 4, most of the assets he's worried about are under his parents' name, and he had never asked for their opinion on what to do. He just did what he thought he should. And 5, he also said he isn't that well off and that his assets shouldn't come between us. This is still confusing me. Isn't this whole thing because he was well off and wanted to hold on to what he had and not create a shared lifestyle? I think maybe he meant he didn't own much and most things actually were under his parents' name. 6, he felt he was punching above his weight with me and was scared I would leave him. 7, he was afraid I was with him because of his finances, since that was the only thing he had more of, whereas he said I'm intelligent, hardworking, beautiful, etc. 8, he was scared about moving forward with the relationship, but instead of communicating, he became defensive. And lastly, to me, it seems like he said and did things because he was feeling deeply insecure. He had made a couple passing comments before about me being more beautiful than him or how I'm more hardworking, etc., but I had always taken them as compliments, not self-deprecating comments towards himself. He's such a caring, funny, and intelligent person, just in a different way than me. Also, I know he's not as confident as he comes across, but I had no idea that his insecurities ran this deep. Ciao. So she continues. He also apologized over and over about how he didn't mean to make me feel like an outsider to him and his parents, and insisted that he wanted to share a life with me. He said his insecurities and fear got the best of him and he didn't handle it well. He had taken advantage of my patience and lashed out because he felt inadequate and scared. It broke my heart because I think all of this could have been avoided. We've been going through this song and dance before many times where he would feel some sort of way and then act out as he's processing it. Until now, I always stay through it and we move on, but it's never gone on for so long. But I guess the issues we've faced before were smaller compared to mapping out our whole lives. I've pushed him to seek individual counseling, and we've attended couples counseling together. But I can't force him to sit and identify his emotions or employ the tools we were taught. The prenup conversations happened over a long period of time. He had so many chances to pump the brakes and reflect on what he was saying and simply just listen to me. But he didn't. He then sat in front of me saying that everything he said before was not what he meant. He said he would be happy to take care of me and our future kids. We could buy a house together or rent if I wanted to, because now he wasn't scared about creating a life together. Completely opposite to everything he had been saying. Child, he need to make up his mind, okay? She says, but how unsettling is it that he seemed so completely comfortable and confident in the hurtful words he previously said and was okay with placing me in a very unequal position in the relationship. Despite me continuously trying to articulate what I wanted and how he was making me feel, he didn't even consider my side over months. I know I have a good deal with what his parents are offering, and I know him and I get along super well, but I'm not marrying his parents. I can't have his mom with us during every argument or life decision we make. Thinking back, I can count on one hand where we've run into issues and he was able to address it without acting up. Red flag. He's such a nice guy, but I can't be his garbage bin every time he needs to sort out his feelings. It's already worn me down. So she kind of explains more about that. And then she says, I think life will have a lot more ups and downs, and I cannot imagine what kind of difficulties we'll face if this is how we communicate, even after identifying it and working on it in therapy. For these reasons, I'm still choosing to walk away. Very different from leaving because of a prenup, but it is leaving nonetheless. And to be honest, this hurts more. I know it will hurt for a while, but I pray I'll be avoiding heartache and complications in the future. Who knows? If it was meant to be, maybe we'll find our way back. For now, I've told him and his family I need space and time. Thank you, everyone, for your comments and DMs. Sorry I couldn't get back to everyone, but I appreciate you all. Whew. I skipped over some stuff because she was kind of like rambling a little bit. No offense. My ADHD was really trying to get through it, but I couldn't. I think she's making the right decision, though. He doesn't seem relationship oriented. He doesn't seem really how he seems like he needs a little bit more emotional maturity. He needs to get to the root of some of his feelings of inadequacy and learn really how to be like in a partnership, because it doesn't seem like he gets it. So good on her for leaving. I hope she finds the one later. That was the last read of the video, so we'll go to the palate cleanser. Just a reminder to like, comment, and subscribe, and consider becoming a channel member. And let's read this last story. This is from r/Petty Revenge. The title is "Why Force Me to Share the Bill When I Wasn't Sharing the Food?" Ha! This is a hot topic in today's time, I feel like. They say, I started working with a new team and they had the practice of going out for lunch every Friday. I was new to the job and I know my pay was way lower than everybody else's, and months later I realized I was paid unfairly low and I quit at the worst possible time as a revenge for a better paying job. I had loans to pay off and was also at the beginning of my career, hence was pretty calculative of my spending. Coming to the main story here, I was invited to join the Friday lunches and I liked it as well. But one thing that bugged me the most was the bill was split equally. The reason it was a problem for me was I was the only vegetarian in the group. Everyone else would eat only non-vegetarian food and would order multiple appetizers, main courses, etc., and share amongst themselves. I, on the other hand, would just order for me one appetizer and one main dish. They would take pieces from my appetizer and portions from my main dish as well to taste it. And many days, I would leave the restaurant still feeling a little bit hungry. Also, I was paying more than what I had even ordered. Usually, I used to order food totaling about $15, and with tip, it would be less than $18. This was more than a decade ago. But when we split the overall bill, I usually ended up paying $23 to $25, and worst of all, I was not even getting to eat what I ordered. The audacity for them to be taking from his appetizer when he can't take from theirs, leaving him in a deficit them in a deficit basically. Wow. They said, so one day I subtly brought up the idea of separate bills, or at least let me pay for what I order. Most of them ignored what I said, and the two who responded shot down my idea immediately, saying I was ridiculous. So that day, I ordered 2 appetizers instead of 1. The next week, I ordered 2 appetizers and 2 main dishes. And at the end of lunch, I packed up the remaining vegetarian food and took it home for my dinner. The week after, I tossed in a dessert in the mix and asked the server to pack one of the vegetarian main dishes straight in a to-go box. This is when their alarm bells started ringing. I have been ordering food worth $40+ now, including tips, and since it was getting mixed with the bigger pool, everyone's share had gone up to upper 20s. On the 4th week, when I was about to order, one of the guys who called my idea ridiculous suggested separate bills for vegetarian and non-vegetarian food. That day, I ordered 2 appetizers and 1 main dish. I think that sent a message. I invited everyone to taste the appetizer and offered my main dish as well. I left the lunch feeling full and not having any to-go boxes. In the weeks following, slowly the split concept was gone and everyone started paying just for what they ordered. They would split the cost only for appetizers they shared. Everyone ended up paying less than what they usually paid, as everyone was ordering more than they needed, as they assumed since the bill is split equally, they were getting to pay less. But this fails when everyone was doing the same. Wow. That's hilarious. I think that's great petty revenge. And in this case, I don't agree with splitting. Now, if everyone orders like an equal amount of stuff, like you said, one main dish and like everybody gets a drink and everybody gets an appetizer and we're all like eating off each other's plate, then yeah, we could split. But if this person orders steak and lobster and the next person orders a salad with no drink, like I don't think we should be splitting. Everybody pay for what they ordered and we'll do it that way. Anyways, so thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.